Pandarosh presents Laluba by Nahid Al-Sayed, Part 2.
The unit of measuring pain. The story is long, dear reader. Please don't get bored. It's not long in terms of the hours known in the human day by which people measure time, but its length is measured by its pains. Pain has no solar or lunar system, no hourglass, no stick that casts a shadow on the ground until the sun disappears. Pain is measured by a sharp tool, silence. Every time it passes over the necks, it creates a slit. If you scream, it bursts, widens, gets infected, and might develop gangrene that leads to the amputation of the neck at the infection point. So, it's better for you to remain silent. You are in the presence of pain. Let it pass peacefully. With your silence, you accept it. You tell it, please pass. Do you need another prick? I will endure it for you. Just pass peacefully. This is how you get used to pain and fill the battery of its clock with silence. This is how you become obedient, and you will be soon rewarded. It might grant you an additional balance of calmness. It might lessen the pain next time, or reduce its duration, or give you relaxation periods between each prick to gather your strength for the next attacks. Pain doesn't necessarily mean being sick. Pain has many faces. You might sense them between the lines. But I don't want to dissect my pains now, because in this narrative, I have different pains that you might not feel as an ordinary person who enjoys reading others' experiences while reclining on your soft cushioned chair with a soft yellow light from a luxurious lamp shining on your book, which you didn't find much trouble buying. I didn't say you're well off, but enjoying this comfortable situation is enough to relieve some pain, as sometimes reading about others' pains reassures us that we are not alone in the situation. Anyway, dear reader, I couldn't explain more than that, as words are few for what I felt, or more accurately, the words I need are not in our dictionaries. None of them convey the meaning. Forgive me if I used common words that don't highlight the depth of the meaning. There is no synonym for pain that I know. I chose the word pain instead of ache because it's closer to what I feel. But every time I say it, I feel the urge to push it inside forcefully, to deepen it, to create a hole in its middle, filled only with a mixture of words like orphanhood, dispersion, loneliness, obsession, blindness, numbness, stiffness, incapacity, failure, cowardice, and I leave the bracket wide open for you to fill it with negative words. One of them is enough to make your tears flow like rivers. So how, by God, do you find a description for this mixture? If pain, or wajah, as it is pronounced in Arabic, is a weak, fragile word that is not flexible enough to serve the purpose, even linguistically, it is a vocal push consisting of 3 abbreviated letters ending in silence, without the breath extension and opening or closing of the mouth as is common with vowels, which exhale some clean air in their pronunciation. Yet it starts with W, that letter known for its spiritual effect in Sufi doctrines, for its fluidity, lightness, and fleeting presence like a brushfoot dance. Yet it has no trick here but to lightly and fleetingly press the lips together to move to the J, a heavy letter with a special pronunciation ritual, forcing you to hold the air coming out from inside you and bend your tongue to the roof of your mouth, the basic position in yoga sessions, which is also a kind of meditative exercise that purifies the soul, leaving it fragile to be scattered by the wind. But here, with the letter J, you feel a throat lump, a fever that bites your body deeply, and its symptoms do not appear to those around you, except when your feverish forehead drips sweat. No one feels your pain unless your sweat drips like torrents. Then the word ends, if I may call it a word among words, with silence. that resounding silence that leaves a ringing in the ear and a neighing in the soul that gallops you into a dark space without moons, never ending to be followed by light. And between each letter and letter, a hard journey pulled me into it by my she-wolf. But she didn't intend to kill me, and this is the crux of the matter. That pushed me to write. Isra and Mirage. She took me to her world for 7 days on a journey of Isra and Mirage, then returned me to life as a different person. Someone who accepts what he is, knowing there is no escape from her, for she clung to my skin, my mucous membrane, and my crystalline layer like a red desert locust. She is also a red she-wolf. No, wait, my dear reader. Do not be shallow in your imagination and think that her color is red, for Arabian wolves are black and white, the colors of clarity. As for grey wolves, they are hybrids, a mix of the two colors or the result of a vile and despised mating with hyenas in their world. Thus, the grey wolf is the most deadly and fierce. It has acquired the traits of both species. This is the first wisdom I believe was the reason the she-wolf chose me to become her host. It is the wisdom of clarity. A trait I love in myself, but customs, traditions, and etiquette, mixed with deceit, always restrained me under the pretext of respecting others, making me discreet. But you will learn, dear reader, later on, that I got rid of this restraint and began to enjoy it. What I call clarity, they consider it embarrassment and audacity. Then I realized that my little one is not a hybrid and that she is white. And you have no right to ask me how I know that now. I do not know how to answer you. I just feel it despite her ferocity in attack. Sometimes I was confused, convinced she was a grey hybrid due to her fierce blows that could not come from a purebred she-wolf. Purebred wild wolves have noble moral traits, perhaps the first and most important of which is following the pack's instructions in predation. So when she relieved me from her fierce attacks, I knew she had received instructions to do so, probably from the pack leader, who knows that ferocity in attack leads to death, and this is not what she should learn in her youth. Anyway, my friend, do not rush things. Be patient and enjoy the story. Sorry. I forgot to tell you why she is called the Red She-Wolf. The secret, my dear, lies in her eyes, which cast a harsh redness at night, to dazzle her victims, distract them, and terrify them. God granted her a layer above her eyelids that makes them sparkle in the dark, and for this reason, it is said she can see jinn, and she does not take her eyes off them until she devours them. Many legends have been woven around this. There is no room to mention them now. They will have a place in our story. I hope to remember it then. There is another reason for calling her Red. She cares about drinking blood, savoring its warmth and freshness, not preferring frozen blood or the prey that has been dead for hours. She despises carrion. She is chaste and clean and innocent of the blood of Jacob's son. She prefers fresh, hot blood that she strives to extract with her fangs, not enjoying her food unless she hunts it herself, sets traps, and works hard to catch it. This is the second wisdom that attracted her to me, for I love hardship, or, in your precise linguistic concept, diligence. I cannot enjoy things unless I work hard to obtain them. Oh, what a delicious and sweet taste of hardship, followed by comfort. The comfort that isn't more than me throwing myself on my couch in the living room, crossing my legs in the yoga position, which I consider a prayer position, a prayer of thanks for accomplishing a plan I worked on for a while. I sit and that's it, after bringing all my delights to reward myself after a period of hardship. Here is my beloved cup. with red roses and a blue rim, filled with my favorite drink, tea with milk Laban. I do not like to say halib and use the standard word according to your precise linguistic logic, because it loses its meaning for me. It is tea with milk, then a piece of coconut biscuit without sugar, and my phone with its charger, and a book by a writer I loved even if I finished it. Maybe I would like to read some of it to fill myself with happiness. Finally, my bourgeois ritual that I adopted after engaging in the search for healthy foods due to my illness. An expensive avocado, I always buy it green and hard, not yet ripe, and keep it in the fridge so it does not ripen quickly. When I am close to finishing my hardship task, I take it out to keep it in another way to help it ripen quickly and be ready for consumption, where I wrap it in a newspaper and put it in a warm, dark place like the oven, then cut it and add some honey to devour it with the happiness of a victor returning from a fierce war that exhausted him physically and mentally. Before knowing about avocados, bananas were my reward until I was deprived of them due to high potassium that damaged my kidneys. Oh my, I rambled again. Sorry, dear reader, but wait. You have no right to get bored of my rambling as long as I entertain you. You chose my book and know it is my memoir with illness, and memoirs are a kind of confession, and confession is rambling. Did you expect such a book to make you laugh? I do not think you even have the right to catch your breath. Running with the wolves. I was astonished by the laws of the wolf pack that govern them during my journey. There is respect for kinship ties. No one deviates from their laws, and no one betrays. If the dog is known as the most loyal creature, this is a clear injustice to the wolf pack, whether among females or males. Both marry only once and do not betray. If their partner dies, they mourn for 3 months, and their grief may extend to the point of suicide. The mourning rituals consist of continuous howling that can last up to 8 hours a day. Unlawful marriage or incestuous marriage, as happens with other creatures, is never allowed, nor is it as we humans began to shape the entirety of humanity with a relationship we later classified as sinful and unlawful, with a brother marrying his sister. Although this relationship has disappeared among human packs, it remains among other creatures, where the father seduces his daughter as soon as her first charms appear. The son marries his mother, and the brother marries his sister, leading to the mixing of lineages for creatures that carry only sin in their genes, which they have fed on since their inception. As for the wolves, their situation is much purer. When the offspring grow up and it is time for them to mate, each one leaves to form a separate family. It is not right for there to be more than one mother wolf and one father wolf in the family, but the dutiful daughter or son continues to hunt for their parents until they die. During my journey in their world, I was confused when I found an old wolf, according to my human belief, should be the leader. But I quickly found that the mother, and it is always the female, is the leader and is called Alpha. What is this name? I remember it well. They called me that when I was 12 years old because of my academic excellence and my long periods of reading and studying, even after the school year ended. You are the Alpha, Nayhead. Is this a coincidence? Although it applies to all achievers, in my case, after mastering the art of meticulous contemplation of every atom in my life, I can say, it is not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. In anthropology, female personalities are divided into 3: Sigma, Alpha, and Beta. My personality aligns a lot with the traits of the Alpha: dominant, attractive, loved by both men and women, ambitious, diligent, and so on with any positive traits you stumble upon. Because I truly do not like to praise myself. Is this a sign? I do not know, and maybe I do, but I ignore it. Back to the father wolf, who represents the alpha's right hand in hunting, while the elders are the ones with experience and wisdom, and they are indispensable. Strangely, they are the ones who lead the pack in their hunting expeditions, being the most knowledgeable about places rich in prey. They are followed by the warriors, usually 3 or 4 at most, then the young trainees, and the mother leader, Alpha, comes at the end, protecting this line and never taking her eyes off them. The daughter wolf always inherits her mother's position, so when the mother grows old, the daughter takes her place in the pack. This part of their laws impressed me a lot. As I am a supporter of the idea that women can manage, lead, think, and plan, this has always been my life. After my dear husband understood me and left me the field of management and raising the children, our disputes in this regard never led to estrangement, as he would ultimately concede to the mother's strength and her influence on her children. Perhaps this is what strongly drives me to teach my daughters lessons in management, strength, and patience, so they can inherit and take my place later. Back to the family of my she-wolf, which does not exceed 15 wolves, including elders. So what is the story of these elders then? Luca. My she-wolf, whom I named Luca, and you will understand the significance of the name later, told me the story of the elders. One of them lost his wife and remained sorrowful until he grew old, as he was not allowed to marry again. He became one of the wise members of the family, teaching the young how to run, attack, be cautious, and the etiquette of devouring prey. Among them was also a strange, mysterious black wolf. My she-wolf told me that he was lost when he was young. She said, after my mother took him in for a few months, his family found him, but he refused to go with them and preferred to live with us. However, every mating season, my mother would keep him away from our females, as sniffing is the beginning of mating relationships. The years passed, and he came to accept it and respect our laws, until he surpassed the age of marriage and became one of the wise elders of our family. Their language of communication is howling. It is not just howling to call the pack or to warn of a predator, as is known among most animals. The wolves' howling is a special language. They speak it loudly in the open, incomprehensible to other animals. This intrigued researchers to study it. Frederick Range, one of the researchers from the Wolf Center at the University of Vienna, Austria, collected saliva samples from each howling wolf to measure stress levels, assuming that wolves, like all animals, make sounds due to stress. However, it turned out that their howling is not a reaction, as they thought, to an emotional state or fatigue, and there are many reasons for howling. There is a short, quiet howl, often made by a mother gathering her playful young in the forest, an intermittent howl to call the pack members to guard their territory, a continuous howl in cases of sadness and loss, which resembles moaning, and a howl to intimidate nocturnal creatures, a continuous series of forms and colors of howling indicating the pack's species and type. Interestingly, the howling varies from pack to pack depending on color, region, and environment. But in the end, we can say that the wolves' howling indicates their life system and their respect for their laws. Their howling is associated with the full moon, and you often find all pictures of wolves, a moon with a wolf howling in front of it. This phenomenon has personally affected me noticeably, to the point that I now prepare for it every full moon. I experience depression, suffocation, irritability, and mood swings. From this, I realize how much it has mixed with my blood and my gradual transformation into a werewolf. Etiquette of devouring prey. Mrs. Alpha gave birth to the largest number of pups a she-wolf can have in the birthing season of July. Oh, yes, July, my friend. Is it also a coincidence that my she-wolf was born in the same month as me? July with a big sigh, I can say. I'm afraid of the many similarities between us. I won't hide it from you. I started to become more suspicious, but I will ignore it for now and believe it is just a coincidence, nothing more. I continue to explain that they mate from January to April. This is their wedding season, and the females give birth after 63 days to between 6 to 12 pups. They choose a place near water so they don't have to leave them and can keep them hydrated all the time. This time of year is hot, and they also need water. They don't want to leave their young far from their sight. Alpha, who Luca did not want to call by any other name, gave birth to 12 pups, which made her a pride for her family, as their number increased and they became a major force among the surrounding families. The family with the shiny fur that occupies the eastern side of their area, which is considered the fiercest, is no more than 7 wolves. The family that controls the north, whose leader is nicknamed the one with the curved ear, numbers 10. The greatest threat to them is the family with the thick-haired tail, has numbered 12 wolves last summer. The strength and ferocity of the pack are measured by the number of females in the family. So Luca's family is at the forefront because it contains 4 females at once. But who among them might inherit her mother? Please don't expect my she-wolf to be the heir. For I cannot bear to have Alpha, the pack leader, reside within me. Oh my, how I truly fear that. I have managed with this little one. I don't even want to think about her maturing one day, because the more she matures, the more I pathetically wither. I don't want to think about fear. This expectation terrifies me and might stop me from continuing to write, so I will ignore it and continue my story. Their family is organized like the entire wolf pack, and perhaps this was the fundamental reason for choosing me as well. Because I am truly good at organizing my papers and my life, it could be that order is the third wisdom for my selection. Just as they excel in their hunting trips, I excel in planning my tasks and scheduling my time, enough to recount a considerable number of hours of hardship, which are followed by my delicious rewards. I create a circle of tasks for myself that I never leave, except exhausted and drained, but I insist on completing them first. They move in a strict order in a long line led by the wise elders, followed by the male warriors, who surround the prey in a circle, paving the way for Alpha, who always starts the hunt and excels at it. A majestic scene, but exciting and thrilling. If it seems disgusting to you, I have found it palatable with the wolfish logic I acquired from them. This Alpha knows where to place her fangs. They sink into the main neck artery, paralyzing the prey, causing its 4 legs to slacken, and it collapses to the ground, surrendering. She holds it, not letting go, and with a signal from her eyes, the young come. This is a basic system that cannot be changed or bypassed. The young come, and the elders and the father stand before them at the dining table. making way for the young ones to apply what they have learned about the etiquette of devouring prey and the stance that makes the bite stronger. Where the front legs are fixed to the ground, pushing the body forward, making the bite stronger and deeper. However, the devouring starts from the entrails. They first strip the skin with their small fangs to gnaw at the entrails while they are still warm and fresh. Because of the great care for the young, they are given priority to eat the fresh parts. After the young take their share of the kidneys, liver and heart, the trinity of fresh food for wolves, which is exactly what happened to me. As I devoured this trinity in a moment of distraction, quickly enough that I didn't feel it until after she finished her meal, the rest of the pack attacks before the blood cools, scattering the prey until they are full, leaving the remains for hyenas, vultures and crows. It is not their custom to store food or continue to eat until it is finished. This is contentment, the fourth wisdom that was not acquired in me, but I think it is embedded in my genes. I don't know exactly where it came from or how, but it has been imposed on my life since childhood. Perhaps because I was born into a poor family that barely got its daily sustenance, so I was always content with what I got. Despite the changes we went through, I have not changed this trait and I enjoy it and find it palatable. I even consider it one of my rewards during relaxation times, bringing it with me alongside an avocado, milk tea, and a book. But there are many who confuse contentment with dreaming and say, if you are satisfied with what you are, you have no right to dream. I say in this situation, this is naive thinking. Contentment is to be satisfied with what comes to you, not with what you strive for. Your striving must never stop. So you always achieve, then be content, and then savor your contentment with what has come to you. Sorry, I don't want to lose my way between the lines, and I intended to ask you, dear reader, why do you ask about her color? Isn't it more appropriate to ask whether she is a she-wolf and not a wolf, for example? I think after all that has been narrated, you know the answer. I am not one to put answers on silver platters. You must let your mind read between the lines. Otherwise, there is no need to continue reading my book. Because if you are a fan of ease and straightforward meanings, this book is not for you. La Luba Girl. I wonder who is La Luba Girl to choose her as the title for my book and my autobiography. And does the name relate to the disease of the red she-wolf known as lupus in English? Yes, I think so, without any guesswork or sophistry. And don't think I'm just twisting meanings to my advantage. Just feel with me the similarity in pronunciation and letters. If you're not a fan of research, you might know, as I did, that in Mexico they call a woman La Loba, which means the she-wolf. In an attempt to psychologically explain her wild personality, lupus affects 99% of women, and the 1% of men who get it have some female estrogen hormone in their genes. The first cases of lupus were discovered in the 20th century in Europe among women of African descent. They attributed its appearance to hormonal changes due to temperature changes and the feminine changes caused by a lot of stress. Some studies have revealed that it is a dormant virus in the female body linked to estrogen. activated by several factors, the first being emotional shocks, with the rise of estrogen levels during monthly female flare-ups, along with excessive exposure to sunlight and light. This combination stimulates cells to random agitation and the secretion of antibodies to attack each other. Studies have shown that this disease targets specific females who have distinctive personality traits, such as hyperactivity, vitality, those who perform many tasks in their day without fatigue, those who think quickly to the point of exhaustion, and those who have the ability to innovate and foresee, those who can anticipate the present and read thoughts, whose faces appear younger than their age due to their cheerfulness and continuous mercy and giving, which is always met with disappointments, developing into frustration within them, transforming into tension and nervousness, then intensifying, causing them to withdraw and isolate, leading to depression, activating the fear hormone of disappointment and anxiety about feelings, thus feeding the virus responsible for the body's savagery within them. This is what doctors called the red she-wolf or lupus, for its ferocity and predation of body organs wisely and leisurely, even allowing it to renew itself to strike again. It knows it lives inside a strong female capable of renewal and resistance. Otherwise, it wouldn't have chosen her and thrived within her in the first place. It exists in all females, but it only stirs in one of them with those emotions and its essential life elixir, estrogen, the magical female hormone that represents the ABCs of treating lupus patients. Doctors do not start treatment to stop the disease's attacks until after withdrawing estrogen from the female. How harsh and ugly that is. They withdrew my femininity, my emotions, and my essence, not to mention the physical damages caused by estrogen withdrawal, such as osteoporosis, sexual dullness, back curvature, skin sagging, and so on, from the system of early aging and disability while I am still in my late 30s. It wasn't a treatment as they expected, but a huge incentive for lupus to settle within me. It stirred my emotions, tension, nervousness, and extreme fatigue. And what made it worse was the feelings of disappointment I faced. Thus, I undoubtedly became fertile ground, a suitable and safe homeland for lupus. Despite tracking the disease's pathways, they were puzzled in finding a cure for it. Then studies stopped, and it became a shelved disease among medical certainties, turning into a syndrome, which means in medical terms that it exists forever. Hence, lupus was associated with the phrase "no cure." And doctors treated it like any other autoimmune disease, recommending immunosuppressive drugs, along with corticosteroids, as taken for any other autoimmune disease. Then it entered the tightly closed medical archive in the laziness cabinet. While some sage doctors indicate that it can be lived with by changing lifestyle and following a healthy diet, provided avoiding sun exposure and suppressing flare-ups, or eliminating estrogen, the female hormone, and being cautious of seasonal changes and extreme heat and cold, and of course, stress. What is left in life to live for then? How can life be straight without these things? There is really no way to heal. So where is life if we cut all that out? Why live? Lupus seeks the fully feminine woman, the fresh, lively, sweet one. Oh my, how beautiful these traits are, which I should have been proud to have. But after all I've suffered, I wish to become an ordinary girl, a nobody. It inhabits girls of 18 springs, and does not look at women after 45, meaning it hunts females in the prime of youth and femininity. What a wise killer. I think it stayed with me in my 20s, and it wasn't discovered until my internal organs had eroded. It would attack and then subside thanks to my strength and reliance on my ambition and love for life. Thank God it launched its fatal attack 2 years after I gave birth to my youngest son. If it had happened during pregnancy, I would never have given birth, because Lupus, my dear, loves fresh blood and always resides in the womb. And it doesn't like to find a partner in its domain, otherwise it would devour it with ease. It started with me as unexplained dizziness for 2 years, which neurologists diagnosed as increased brain electricity, and they only recommended one type of common medication taken for any kind of dizziness. I continued to suffer in silence, trying to find the reasons, depriving myself of my pleasure in striving and ambition while in the prime of my youth. At that time, I was newly appointed in the field of journalism, which requires hard work and proving oneself. I calmed down a bit, then I started suffering from another, more threatening issue of immobility and disability. My left leg stiffened with excruciating pain, feeling as if an iron rod had replaced the bone in my foot. As I mentioned earlier, Lupus loves to jump. It would surprise me every day with a different place of pain, and suddenly something strange happened. It terrified me. I felt something moving in my foot, carrying a strange heat. It would start from the top of my leg and settle at the front. I thought I was the only one who could see and feel it, but strangely enough, those around me could see it too. Whenever I screamed and said, "Here it comes," my husband would place his fingers on it and follow it to where it stopped to prove to me that he saw it. It was a moving blood clot, as if carried on the shoulder of an ant or some insect. The place would turn red and melt, making it easy to expose and see it clearly. I was reassured that they saw it with me, as it would be irrational to say it without proof. And if they hadn't seen it with me, they would have called me crazy in the blink of an eye. After the journeys of that blood clot in my leg completely stopped receiving signals from my brain to move, and I couldn't feel it at all. Of course, you can imagine the hysterical wailing that struck me, and my dear husband went around trusted doctors and pharmacies to get me some ointment, but he came too late. Although it didn't take 30 minutes, the stiffness had spread to my entire left side, reaching half of my face, making my tongue heavy and my legs unable to move, and my tongue unable to utter a word. Dear reader, give me a couple of minutes to forget the pain I just remembered. Let's talk about anything else I promised to tell you, because recalling these moments made me relive them, and fear quickly seeps into my heart. And you know what fear does to me. Lupus only feeds on the fearful, and as soon as it smells fear, it quickly pounces. There are signs of fear known in its community that are clear on prey that have lost their way from their pack. The first is that the frightened animal puts its tail between its legs, bends its ears down, and its pupils dilate. Wolves immediately know it is easy prey, not needing a plan or organizing warriors, not even requiring the presence of Alpha herself. Any wolf in the group can handle this trivial task, because with this fear it tells them, I am ready to be eaten, as I see no way to escape, and I deserve to be eaten because I am a coward. This is the fifth wisdom that made them get me, as I nurture fear in my depths, like my only child, nursing, soothing, and pampering it, ensuring its growth and satisfaction all the time. I think this is enough reason for my selection, as I presented myself and was easy prey. That's unjust. I inherited fear. I didn't acquire it voluntarily. Due to my poor class, which barely rose with difficulty to the middle class, we even saved paper tissues fearing they would run out in hard times, which we believed would inevitably come. So let's prepare for them. We lived in between, in a way that made us peek at the future, looking through a small opening, while our feet took a step to support this ajar door only, peeking to protect us from entering an unknown we couldn't handle, while the other foot remained behind the door. Bones collector. I have become Laluba girl, returning from life in a new guise, as in the legend, lighter and more delicate, but with thick skin that does not allow sadness and despair to penetrate, skin that acts as a shield in difficulties and extracts patience from its thick pores to drip it into mouths, with some drops falling to the ground, penetrating its depths, and sprouting trees and flowers that humans feed on. This is how I returned from my journey. I am Laluba, the girl from the old legend, brought back to life by that old woman who gathers the bones of wolves. Excuse me, only the bones of she-wolves. That old woman who lives behind the mountains, with her wolfish eyes shining in the darkness and her long nose, where all the witches of old legend sleep, controls her days and nights, where her night rides a black horse, and her day rides an orange horse, the color of the sun, bringing them whenever she wishes. She has no job other than wandering in the death pens among many bones, grinding them under her feet, and enjoying the sound of the fragile bones cracking and crushing. Whenever they break, she knows they belong to a male wolf, and they do not deserve survival, nor do they deserve another chance at life. Let them go to the ashes of the earth. Until she steps on a bone that does not break, she immediately knows it is a she-wolf's bone. Yes, it is a strong she-wolf whose bones never break. As the legend suggests, even after death, not even worms dare to gnaw at them, and they will not dissolve or be buried in the earth's depths, as the soil always spits them back to the surface. So the old woman finds them, gathers them bone by bone, until the she-wolf's body is complete. Then she places her on the edge of the mountain and sits in front of her, singing softly, until flesh grows between the bones, veins branch out, blood pulses, and life flows between flesh and bone. Then the eyes open, and the she-wolf stands up, running faster and faster towards the unknown, until the air around her melts, creating hot wind whirlpools that gallop behind and beside her. As soon as she disappears about 300 meters away and is slightly out of the old woman's sight, she transforms into a fully formed woman, the new Laluba girl, me.
See you in the next part of Laluba, translated by Dr. Tamer Lokman. Editing and art direction, Mariam Hani. Sound engineering, Tamer Yahya. Artistic supervision, Ali Saeed. International distribution, Sandos Tamer. General supervision, Wael Atta. Production manager, Rasha Yahya. Direction, Khalid Mahgoub. Best regards with Pandarosh.